Hey, what up, guys? I want to share with you guys my thoughts on a game that I've currently been playing, and I feel like this is going to be one of the biggest sleeper hits of 2025. This is a game that I have been hyped up to play ever since it was announced. I want to say like a year or two ago. I honestly don't remember. I played the original on the Nintendo Switch, which that game was also kind of a bit of an underrated gem, and I feel like the sequel, which is a really amazing game, and this could wind up being my game of the year. Who knows? I'm going to save that for towards the end of December. And it kind of feels like a couple other games. One in particular I really would have liked to play, but I've kind of given up on the Nintendo Switch. And this is a game by, well, this is a game that, well, it's definitely going under the radar right now. Not a whole lot of people are talking about it. At least I'm not like actively out there looking for people to talk about this, but here I am. I'm talking about this game. This is one that I recently picked up. Thankfully, my local game store, Next Level Games, here in Everett, Washington, had somebody trade this game in. I've been waiting all year to finally play it. That game being Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion, a sequel to a Nintendo Switch slash PC exclusive. I want to say the original was on PC. I do know that it was on Nintendo Switch. That game was very much like Armored Core. Now this game, oh man, I've only been playing this game for about a few hours now. I did play the demo for about an hour, and thankfully, for those who have played the demo, your save file from the demo does transfer over to the main game, so I didn't have to like redo the whole opening sequence. But this game looks absolutely fantastic. It's an open world action third person shooter, very JRPG like. There's a full single player story mode. There's also multiplayer in this. You can play up to about like 3 different players in like a co-op mode. And this has you play as your own custom character, which surprisingly is fully voiced. That really blew my mind. And unlike the first game where the mechs that you get to pilot are like the size of like an Armored Core unit, these are more scaled down to be more like a mech suit. And in the universe of Daemon X Machina, they're called arsenals, and in this game they are also called arsenals, even though they are way scaled down. They are much more nimble that way. I honestly don't mind. I know a lot of people, from what I've heard, when they were hyping this game up, and when they showed off that the mechs were going to be scaled down to be more of like an armored mech suit than like your traditional Gundams or Armored Core style mech, that it was going to be a little bit controversial, but here I am to tell you that that doesn't even matter because they are still absolutely awesome. You can fully customize them to your heart's desire, just like in like Armored Core. There's all sorts of different weapons you can use, from katanas to beam sabers to bow and arrows to missile launchers, mini guns, submachine guns, shotguns, all sorts of really cool, amazing weapons. I am absolutely loving this, and the story is also pretty intriguing. You play as an outer who is like a special human, like semi-genetically modified, and after an encounter with an immortal, which are like the main enemies, other than like the Axiom, which is like a faction within the world of this game, that are like the main villains, I believe. I haven't really played much of the story to really say much about that. It is starting to get really interesting. There's some huge boss fights. There's open world, like non-story bosses that you can discover out in the world. There's a lot to explore in this game. I could see myself putting at least 100 or more hours into this game, just exploring everything. Now, the main story, from what I've looked up, is about roughly 15 to 18 hours long, so it's a short story, but trust me, this game has a lot of gameplay value from what I have witnessed so far, and there's going to probably be hell of a lot more the more I play in this. I can't believe what I have experienced so far. The game looks absolutely amazing. I have captured gameplay off of my PlayStation 5 to share with you guys about this game, and some of the vibes that I got from this game were kind of like a mix between Xenoblade Chronicles X, which I don't really have any of the Xenoblade games. I do have Xenosaga Episode 3, which is currently like one of my favorite mech games. Yes, this is a mech game. If you had watched my video where I go over some mech games on the PS2, I do consider this to be a mecha game. It is a JRPG. It has some of the best like turn-based combat that I've ever experienced. But it also does have that Armored Core influence to it. The original game, I called it an Armored Core clone. Now, this is kind of like if Armored Core met like Xenoblade Chronicles X and they all like mashed together to create this like open world, almost like a JRPG, not necessarily JRPG. You do level up in this game via the mercenary ranks, but this is definitely more like open world hack and slash action adventure than JRPG, but it's very JRPG adjacent in my opinion. And for those who are into those open world RPGs, I would highly recommend getting Daemon X Machina, especially if you're a huge fan of Japanese mecha like I am, hence my name being Mecha Otaku Gamer. I grew up really liking like Star Wars, and then that influenced me to get into mecha anime when I was a teenager in high school, and I've just been absolutely obsessed with mechas. I really love all the different variations and customizations, and that also led me getting into like Gunpla. Like one of my favorite mechs of all time is this guy right here. This is the ARX-8 Levitane from Full Metal Panic. This is a Revoltech figure that I just happen to have nearby me. And then like one of my favorite video game characters, which I would be talking about in a future video, is Cosmos here. And man, I am just absolutely loving this game. I want more people to play this. I know a good friend of mine also got this. It is available on other consoles like Nintendo Switch 2, Xbox, PC. Very thankful that it came to PlayStation 5, since the first one console-wise was stuck on the Nintendo Switch. And overall, I don't normally give games a rating, but if I were to, this would definitely be, just based off of the first few hours, my initial thoughts on it, I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. The game looks absolutely beautiful. The action combat is very fast and fluid. The only thing that is kind of a slight letdown, there are vehicles that you get to drive around in this game, and the driving mechanics are just a little wonky. I was like flipping all over the place and getting turned around when I was just trying to go straight. So it feels very ragdoll like when you're driving the the LRV vehicle, which was like the first vehicle I came across. There was a segment where you are in the back of an LRV and you have like a machine gun, and it kind of felt kind of like Halo, and you were in a convoy and taking down immortals that were chasing after you. Felt really fun. There's ginormous boss fights in this game, which are absolutely epic. The soundtrack is so far is pretty amazing. I definitely wouldn't mind getting my hands on a the soundtrack, like if it were to ever come out on like CD or vinyl. And one last thing I wanted to share about this game: if you get it physically, it has a manual. That is absolutely amazing. Games these days do not have manuals unless they're like from these smaller companies like Marvelous or NIS America or Nicalis or Red Art Games or like Limited Run or stuff, other like third party publishers like that. So that was well appreciated. I also want to thank to whoever traded this game into Next Level. I'm so glad I was able to get this, and I am absolutely enjoying this game, and expect me to talk more about Daemon X Machina in the future. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and hype as well. I am Mecha Otaku Gamer again, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.